Wow, this is super cozy, and I'll tell you what, it's right what everybody says. I can feel the heat already. I'm getting really warm in here. That's with the door wide open. Look at that amazing sunset. Wow, this is amazing. So warm in that tent. Look at that lovely sunset. Wow. See if I can zoom in a bit. Wow, that's amazing. Got my billy can on, boiling up some water. I should have timed it actually. Not ready for my meal yet. It's just really an experiment really. I just wanted to try it and see how long it takes. I've just phoned my darling wife at home. Stoked up the fire. Gosh, it's so warm in there. Having said that, I've just shut the door. Heating up some of the fallen wood. That's not burning as well, to be honest, so I need to experiment more. I'm trying to do 50-50 dry processed wood that I bought earlier on mixed with that wood, but I probably need to allow it to dry longer as well. I just boiled in the water again to put my meals in, chicken and vegetable curry with pasta. So cozy in here. I think I need to work out how to reconfigure this tent because I seem to be all on one side, and that area there seems to sort of not being used when it's right by the door. I just have to give this some more thought. Having said that, it's my first night, but I'm absolutely loving this. That sunset was incredible. Blimey, I've just stoked the fire up with a mixture of the processed wood I bought at Stoke St Michael and the wood I've been drying, and wow, it's hot in here. You can probably see I'm in a t-shirt. I'm probably gonna have to take my hat off shortly. Really cranked up the heat, so I'm boiling the water for my meal. So I'm gonna boil, oh, it sounds like it's boiling now. I'll boil the MREs in the bag for 7 to 8 minutes, peel it open and then just eat it. If I'm still hungry, I'll have a second one. Whew, that thing's pumping out some heat. I did put some of the fallen deadwood that I picked up on top of the stove, and the tent started really smoking. I suddenly realised it was actually starting to burn it, smoulder it in here, so I've taken that off and put it in the basket. So hopefully it's all gonna dry and I can do a 50-50 mix. Ideally I'd really like to only burn fallen wood, but as I said, I think it's going to be a sort of learning process the next couple of camps. That's the first of my MREs cooked. Just boiled that for 8 minutes, and I'm going to let it stand now for a minute, then give it a really good stir and a shake, and then you may see it's perforated at the top. Then just eat it straight out the bag. I have put the second one on because I do find sometimes I'm hungry after these meals. That's it then, cooked for 8 minutes, left to stand for a minute, given a really good stir, then eat it out the bag. Smells absolutely wonderful. Chicken and vegetable curry with rice. I've also started my first can of Abbott's. I've got a second one as well. Really looking forward to this. Bon appetit. Hello, good evening. Welcome to my tent about 1,000 feet up on the Mendips. This hot tent has far exceeded my expectations. It's December, I'm 1,000 feet up. There was ice on the roads this morning. There's frost due tomorrow. I'm in a t-shirt. I've just had to open the door because it's so warm in here. I did bring a carbon monoxide detector and alarm from home. We keep it by our gas boiler at home because some people say it's an issue, other people say that's just a myth. I just hedge my bets. I've just cooked my meal. I've kept things really simple tonight because it's my first outing with this new setup. I just bought a billy can, boiled some water and bought some MREs. That meal's ready to eat. In effect, they're army ration packs, just to keep things as simple as possible. But if somebody had said to me when I first started camping, I guess what was late 70s, early 80s, when you get a little bit older, you'll be camping in December in a tent, in a t-shirt, having just watched the 6 o'clock news on iPlayer, I'd have sort of said, don't believe you. It's about 20 past 9 now, and I've just been outside sawing some more wood. I'm drying it in the basket for tomorrow morning, and I've kept some of that processed wood as well to get the fire started in the morning. It's getting quite nippy out there actually, so I've really stoked it up. I've got in my sleeping bag. You can probably see I've got lots of coloured lights on in here. It's very cosy in here. I'm just going to let that burn itself out and probably go to sleep, turn the lights off. You may hear it roaring. It really is going a treat. Anyway, I'll say good night. I'll see you in the morning. It's 1:45 in the morning and I went to sleep, I guess about 10 o'clock, and I got woken by what I thought was light rain, and then I started hearing something slithering on the tent, and I thought there may be some animals, you know, attracted by the food. I'll show you what's happening outside. There's snow falling. It's snow coming off the tent. Can you hear it? Oh dear, dear, dear. What an adventure. It's now 20 to 2. I got back in my sleeping bag. I'm lovely and toasty warm, but I kept sort of rustling the tent to dislodge any build-up of snow, but now it's more turned into rain. There's still a bit of ice and snow around the bottom of the tent, but it's more heavy rain now. But it's also very, very misty out there. It's obviously not coming up on the camera, but wow, what a night. I'm just so glad I didn't squander all that firewood last night. I think I've got about a third of the bag left, plus all the dead wood that I dried out in that basket. So as it gets light, the first thing I'll be doing is lighting the stove and boiling some water for a hot drink. This is quite a good first test for the tent and the stove, especially the tent. It's advertised as 3 season, and I always think in the UK that probably means 4 season, but I've never used a teepee tent before. I wasn't sure of the structure or the waterproofness of it, especially as there's no double layer, it's just the one skin, but it seems to be keeping everything out. I'm actually really enjoying this, to be honest. I come out for adventures, so when you have adventure, just savour it and enjoy it. My sleeping bag's lovely and toasty warm, so although the air temperature's definitely dropped to there, I'm just so warm in my sleeping bag. So I've got the heavy duty tarpaulin and the German Army ground sheet underneath me, and then there's the Sinmat UL7, that's 7 centimetres deep of very, very effective heat retaining whatever it's made of, and also my Softy 10 Harrier sleeping bag has got a low down to -12, I think. Anyway, not sure if I'm going to get back to sleep. I'm just really enjoying this. Anyway, time to hunker down a little bit and try to get back to sleep. See you in the morning. Hello, good morning. Welcome from Beacon Hill. It's around about 7:30 in the morning now on Friday the 3rd. And my first night in a hot tent was a bit of a baptism of fire. Excuse the pun. The tent was really cosy. I just got in my sleeping bag, watched some YouTube videos and just let the fire die down. And must have drifted off sleep about 10:30, I guess, and then I woke up with the start at 1 o'clock in the morning because I heard some rustling and sort of all my alarm sort of instincts kicked in, and I quickly undid the zip of the tent and realised the rustling was due to snow that had been falling, gathering on the tent, and because of the slope of the teepee, it was just running down the side of the tent. There was just a sheet of white out there, and it was snowing quite heavily. So I stayed awake for about an hour after that, just to keep sort of dislodging all the snow, because I'm not sure of the integrity of this tent being new. And then eventually it stopped snowing, and it was quite heavy rain actually. And I looked out the door and it was just complete mist out there. In fact, it is this morning, very, very sort of thick hill mist. I've just got the burner back on, warm already, and I'm just about to make my first cup of coffee. My dinner last night was some army ration packs I picked up on eBay. This morning I got a Wayfarer's all day breakfast. I've just let the stove burn down. and I'm actually heating up the remaining water for a second, possibly a third cup of coffee on my little Chinese copy of a Trangia. There you go, burning away. That's the contents of the bag. So it's been boiled 8 minutes in boiling water, taken out, let to stand a minute, giving it a good shake. I'll give it a good stir and then tuck into that. I woke up this morning a little bit nippy, just getting out the sleeping bag, going outdoors to do my, well, what you do in the morning. And then as soon as the stove lit, it's nice and warm in here again. This is the scene of my camp about 20 to 9 in the morning. I cooked my breakfast in the billy can on the wood burner, and then I just opened all the airflow and the damper just to try and let the wood burn off. There's still quite a lot of smoke coming out the top of the chimney, you may see. I'm trying to let it burn down, and then I'm heating the billy can up now with my Chinese copy of a Trangia. Sat on top of the wood burner actually, because you've got a flat surface, why not use it? I'm going to start trying to pack up shortly in there. A few little observations I'll maybe go through in a minute. I did wonder about the guy ropes for the flue not being fluorescent. I thought I might replace them, but they were fine last night. They were picking up my head torch, so there must be a bit of fluorescence in them. One thing I definitely will replace are the tent pegs for this tent. They just look overcomplicated and not particularly well made, to be honest. There's too many nooks and crannies for the guy rope to fit in, and the tent pegs themselves have got a guy rope in, so they just get tangled up. I'll just get some normal round ones like we've got over there. Also in the tent, I'll show you as I pack up. Actually, I think I'm going to bring a second ground sheet and possibly not bring my chair. I'll explain that shortly anyway. At the moment, I'm just loving this atmosphere up here actually. Just feels like going back in time 2,000 years. That's the Fosseway just over there. Would you know it? And you can't see it, but that's the A37 over there. You can certainly hear it. I haven't got far to go home, so I'm in absolutely no rush whatsoever. It's mostly downhill as well. So I'll go through some of the deconstruction of this and give you my thoughts. Again, it's not a review. This is a complete beginner's opinion and experience. So I removed the flue. Now you can sort of see it's very goldeny blue purple at one end. It dissipates all the heat in the middle, and then it's the same at the top. The reason for that is that was when I did the first burn. The spark arrestor would have been there, and I just reversed it because I noticed when I unfolded it yesterday it really seemed to want to take its shape where it had been burnt, but not so much that end. So hopefully it should be easier to do so. Now, I'll film it when I slide the rings off, roll it up, and then I'll unroll it and I'll show you what I mean. Here's the stove itself. You can see it in its open shoebox form. Just sprinkled all the ashes, watered it all down, scuffed it in, keeping an eye on it. I've marked the spot with a bottle. Seems okay, but I won't leave it in any sort of warm form whatsoever. I'll keep scuffing it in. There's the top. It does seem to warp a little bit, but I've just put it back together again actually, and it fits fine. What I would say is where all the hinges join, you can see one of them there, the clamps. You get these little gaps along the bottom. The first time I folded it, I thought, oh no, something's wrong, and there were some embers trapped in there. So just get some twigs and really give it a good clear out, and then it does fold down. So I'm letting that all cool. Oh, the stove jack. I did notice it scorched a bit last night. I started trying to adjust the guy lines of the tent, and then I said, no, adjust the guy lines of the pipe, and that sort of pulled it more into the middle. But I think what I'm going to do when I get home, I'm going to open that hole up a little bit more. I don't think it should be touching, although it's designed to absorb the heat rather than it transfer out to the nylon. As regards my tent setup, there's all my rubbish starting to get packed away. I'll bag that up and take it with me. I didn't feel I made that good use of the tent last night, so I thought the wood stove was going to be there, my chair was going to be over there, and just keep the wood off the plastic. I think what I'm going to do is possibly not bring the chair next time, because it was so cosy in here last night. I didn't really need it. The chair's great for sitting outside, but it just felt like it's taking up too much room in here last night, and it did sink down in the soft ground a little bit at times. So what I think I'll do is I'll bring a third ground sheet, a square one over there, just to put more of my kit on. That'll be the next outing anyway. So I'll stick with this on the left hand side, the tarpaulin, the army ground sheet, but I'll just bring that cheap B&Q square one I've got over there, and then I'll keep this quarter bare for the stove, if that makes sense. Down from my tent, one of the first things I do when I arrive at a location is suss out a decent latrine point. So you can see I dug it there last night, and I've put a stick in there vertical to mark it, so I'll be burying my waste. This is a public area and people walk dogs, children. It's just irresponsible to leave waste, so that'll all be buried, covered in leaves. Nobody will ever know I've been here. That's the flue rolled up, ready to go home. I'm now just going to unroll it, as I would do next time, to give you an idea of how it memorises its shape. See if that second burn has made it easier than it was last night. Gloves, obviously. Can you see how it's much easier? Burns at both ends. Normally I would have all the rings now and just start piling them down to keep this in shape, but yeah, that's how easy it's going to be from now on. Now I've burnt it at both ends. Here's the moment you've been waiting for then, how I'm going to pack it away. Okay, so that's the body itself. You see it's got these little protection pads. They're actually sticky backed. I'm not quite sure what for, but I'm just using them. There's two. I'm using one to protect the glass there and one to protect the glass there, and then the lid's just going to fit over that. As you may see, there is a little bit of warping on that top, but it all fits snugly back together, and as you burn it in, it reforms its shape. So I'm going to put it away in its carry bag now. That's the main body, the damping plate there, and the foldable basket all strapped in, and then these straps at the bottom are going to be for all the circular parts. One thing I did notice last night when I unpacked it, because it was the second burn, I'd already done one, all these formation rings, they're like little bangles. Some of them had gone up in between the recess of the inner and the outer body of that, and I had to get a knife to prise them out. So this time you'll probably see I've stopped that by wrapping all the guy ropes around it. Each time I pack it, I'll probably do it differently until I find the best way. Again, people who are more experienced than me would have figured this out a long time ago. So that's going to go in there with its own retention straps with the tent pegs. I was worried it may rattle a little bit, so I've padded it out actually with the ground sheet when I fold it up, the gloves and the stove jack, and it wasn't a problem whatsoever yesterday. There you have it, they're nearly there, all packed away, strapped down in its carrying case. As I said last night, the length and width are the dimensions, I'd say, of a laptop case. The depth is about twice, 3 times as high, all padded down. And then lastly, what I do is I'll fold up the tarpaulin and pack that in, and I found no rattling whatsoever yesterday. Just before I start dropping the tent, I'll show you one of these tent pegs. This is only a personal opinion, it's not advice, but you'll see it's quite a sharp edge. Trying to press those in by hand or the palm of your hand last night was quite sharp. The rounded ones, you normally get the conventional ones, are much better. Trying to get the guys in there over that little bit. I mean, I know I could cut that off if it annoys me, but I just think I'll go to a shop in the week and get some conventional, nicer, softer ones, you know, with the rounded hook handle. Bang on midday and I'm ready to go strike camp. I did say I wasn't in a hurry, didn't I? So that's my bike all laden up. It doesn't really look any different to normal. Two rear carriage ride panniers. Got a matching pair coming from Christmas for the front. My wife bought them for me. The back ones really urgently needed replacing, but I noticed the front ones are getting water in there. There's some holes in there even though I've lined them. There's my rubbish bag. I'll be bunging into the rack when I go. And here's my little plot. Because it's quite dry around there. I'm just going to go around with a stick and just ruffle it all up, because I did clear it out a bit. I want to leave it as I found it, and I've been down and checked all the ashes, scuffed them in. I'll do that one last time, and then I'll be heading up there. I was going to go to Downside Abbey on the way home and just ask if I could have a look round. I wasn't sure if they'd let me during term time, and also because of COVID, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to head along the 45B that way and drop down through Masbury and just make a direct ride home, because today's a late start, plus the fact I'm very unlikely to be allowed to look around the Abbey. Anyway, I hope you find this vaguely interesting. A novice doing his first hot tent night, and I'll see you soon.